Have you ever been in a situation where you were absolutely certain you were about to die, and then, in a way that makes no sense to human logic, you were pulled back from the jaws of death by just a hair's breadth? Has a voice ever rang out clear as day in your head, "Stop! Get out of the way! Run!" when there wasn't a single soul around you? Or maybe you suddenly changed some everyday little action, a tiny movement, one simple step, and that coincidence ended up saving your life? Think about it. If that moment had been just 1 second different, science calls it luck. A few folks say it's an amazing coincidence, but the ones who've lived through it whisper to each other, "No, that was the hand of God." Do you feel that too? Today we're going to look at 7 real moments caught on camera, seconds when death was right there, but an unseen power stepped in just in time. 7 stories, 7 modern-day miracles, and 7 times God reminded us He's still watching over every single hair on our heads. Take a close look at every detail in these clips, and you'll see those moments that seem so ordinary are actually traces of a presence we can't see with our eyes. You know, sometimes life and death are only one step, one heartbeat, one invisible hand apart. And if you've ever had a moment like that yourself, please don't keep it to yourself. Share your story so everyone can hear about the wonder of the Lord. Now, are you ready? Let's dive in and go through each one. I promise they'll have you on the edge of your seat 1 minute and saying, "Wow," the next. Here we go. 1. A father and son escaped disaster by a hair's breadth. A dad and his little boy were riding their bikes nice and slow along the edge of a 2-lane road out in the Texas countryside. It was a bitter cold winter day. The wind was whipping past their ears and cutting right through their clothes. The dad was about 40, the boy was 8, and they were just enjoying a rare, quiet moment together, not having a clue that something terrible was about to happen in the blink of an eye. A loaded semi-truck tried to pass another vehicle and swerved into the left lane. Before anyone could react, a big rig was barreling straight toward it from the opposite direction. In an instant, the 2 trucks smashed head-on. The sound of twisting metal filled the air, and sharp pieces of aluminum flew everywhere like shrapnel, heading right for the father and son, who were only a few feet away. Just picture that moment. Heart pounding, breath caught in your throat, body frozen in fear. And then, something miraculous happened. Not a single piece touched them. If you watch the video in slow motion, you'll see those big chunks of metal flying straight at them, then suddenly veer off at the last second. Like an invisible shield popped up just in time. See what I mean? Some unseen force, some power way beyond human understanding, protected them by the skin of their teeth. The dad later said, "It felt like somebody gently pushed us aside so we wouldn't step into death's door." Don't you see? 1 second later, and the whole story could have ended differently. The Bible talks about this exact thing. Psalm 91:11 says, "For he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways." And Psalm 34:7 says, "The angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear him, and he delivers them." Watch that video closely, and you'll see those verses come alive in every frame. Not fake, but real protection. From that freezing road in Texas, let's head up to a chilly gym in Canada, where a young woman almost lost her life because of one simple axe throw. See, miracles show up in the places you'd least expect. 2. Young woman tries axe throwing and almost gets seriously hurt. There's a busy axe throwing place in Ontario, Canada. A 4-year-old girl is trying it for the first time. She's holding a 3-pound axe, heart pounding. She's excited and scared all at once. Everything around her goes quiet, just the low murmur of the crowd and her own heartbeat thumping in her chest. It feels like time slows way down. Every second stretches out forever. Her first throw looks normal at the start, but then the axe bounces back, spins in a perfect arc, and comes flying straight at her face, right at eye level. She barely has time to close her eyes and brace for the worst. You know, just 1 second slower, and the ending could have been completely different. And then, something amazing happens. When the blade is only 2 inches from her face, the axe suddenly turns 90 degrees and drops straight down, landing right at her feet. She was shaking when she told the story later. I swear, it felt like an invisible hand grabbed the handle and pulled it down. Watch the video closely. You can actually see the air move, the way it changes direction. That exact moment, like someone standing next to her quietly kept her safe. It wasn't just luck. Some unseen power, something way bigger than we can understand, stepped in at the last second. Don't you see? An invisible presence changed the path of what should have been death. Like God himself reached out and guided that axe. Look at Psalm 121. 5. The Lord is your keeper. The Lord is the shade at your right hand. See what I mean? Those moments that seem totally random are living proof he's watching over us, even in the little things. From that chilly room in Canada, we're heading up to a snow-covered peak in the Alps, where a pro skier suddenly runs into an invisible wall. Miracles aren't always big and flashy. Sometimes they show up in the most ordinary seconds and still change a whole life. 3. Young skier, saved by an invisible push, up at 10,500 feet, temperature minus 15 degrees. This 32-year-old guy was doing a straight-down run to film a video. Picture it. Wind slamming your face, snow flying everywhere, hitting 70 miles an hour, heart about to pound out of your chest. One split second. That's all it takes for everything to change forever. Halfway down the slope, he suddenly veered hard left for no reason he could explain. No warning, no hand on his back, yet his body just turned. The very next second, a 4-foot deep slab of snow where he'd just been broke off and roared down into the abyss. Half a second slower, and he'd have been gone. No chance, no way back. He still gets shaky telling it. I swear, something hit me hard on the right shoulder and shoved me left. There was nobody there. Watch the video slow motion, and you'll see that turn makes no sense. No physics, no normal reflex. It happened too fast, too perfect, too miraculous. That run wasn't just a close call on skis. It was proof something invisible stepped in, something way bigger than anything we can figure out. Sometimes the line between living and dying is paper thin. The Bible says it plain in Psalm 91:11. For he shall give his angels charge over you, to keep you in all your ways. That sudden turn, that snow letting go right on time. It sure looks like God's own hand moved the man out of harm's way. Now we'll come down from those snowy peaks to a quiet bus stop in Novosibirsk, Russia, where a 4-5-year-old man is waiting in sleet and blowing snow. See, that same protection doesn't only show up on the Alps. It slips into the ordinary moments too, even when we think nobody could possibly save us. Look close and you'll spot the perfect timing, like an unseen hand guiding every move, keeping a person safe when danger looked unavoidable. And you're left wondering, was it just luck, or was God right there? 4. The utility pole stopped in midair, right above the man's head. It all started at a quiet intersection, the road still slick from a drizzle that had just let up. A 4-5-year-old guy was standing there, waiting for the bus. Hands jammed deep in his jacket pockets to stay warm, staring across the street like he was counting every second. Everything felt heavy and dead quiet. You could hear every single raindrop hitting your own hat. Then out of nowhere, 2 cars came flying in from opposite directions, way too fast. Head-on crash. No way to avoid it. One of the cars skidded about 60 feet and slammed straight into a 30-foot concrete utility pole. You see it coming. One more second, and that pole is gonna crush the guy. But here's the wild part. When the top of the pole was maybe 1 foot from his head, it just stopped dead in midair, like something invisible grabbed it, then gently lowered it onto the roof of the car behind him. Move over just a couple more inches, and the story ends very differently. Afterward, the man said, voice still shaking, I don't know why it stopped. There were no wires, no cables, nobody holding it. I just felt some kind of energy protecting me. Watch the video close. Little chunks of concrete are flying everywhere, but not one piece touches him. Pure luck? Or did an unseen hand step in right on time? This story takes me straight back to the Bible, where God's power shows up in these miracle protections. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, your rod and your staff, they comfort me. Psalm 23:4. A guy standing in the middle of danger, a huge pole freezing inches from his head. It feels like living proof that God really is there, watching over the people he loves. See, life and death can be just a few inches apart. Sometimes, the rescue doesn't come from people at all. It comes from a power we can't see with our eyes. From freezing Novosibirsk, we'll head next to Warsaw, Poland, where an old tree waited for exactly the right person to fall on. But before we go, look at this moment again. An invisible strength didn't just save one man's life. It reminds us that every step we take, every second we live, is held in God's hands. Watch that video one more time, and you'll see things the mind can't explain, but the spirit sure feels. 5. The boy escaped the falling tree thanks to a mysterious shout. It was a dry, bitter cold winter day, with gusts hitting force 8 on the wind scale. The 200-year-old oak tree right in front of the house gate had been rotting for years. A young guy was standing there, messing with his phone while waiting for his buddy. The wind was howling, leaves flying everywhere, his legs shaking from the cold, when all of a sudden, he stepped over to the side, like someone told him to move. Right then, the base of that oak started leaning hard. You could hear the dry branches snapping, a sound that'd make your skin crawl. And out of nowhere came this deep, strong man's voice, booming through the air. "Get out of there right now!" The guy jumped, thought it was his friend yelling, and backed up a few steps real quick. Guess what? Just seconds after he moved, that tree, over 10 tons of it, came crashing down exactly where he'd been standing, missing his feet by maybe 3 feet. If he hadn't reacted, well, you don't even want to think about it. Shaking, he asked his friend, "Was that you yelling at me?" His buddy shook his head. "Man, I haven't even left the house yet." Take a close look at the video. You'll see the tree fall scary fast, but there's nobody near the guy. No warning at all. It's like some invisible force was in charge. Pure luck? Or something miraculous that nobody can explain? This story always reminds me of that verse in the Bible, where God guides and warns the people he loves. Your ears will hear a voice behind you saying, "This is the way, walk in it." Isaiah 30:21. That shout out of nowhere that got the young man out of danger just in time, it feels like living proof of the unseen guidance we can't always see with our eyes, but our spirit sure can feel. Put yourself there for a second. You're standing in that spot, watching this huge old rotten tree swaying in the freezing wind. Your heart's pounding, hands stuffed in your coat pockets, eyes glued to what's happening. Just a couple seconds. That's all. That's the difference between life and death. 3 little feet. Makes you wonder, is there really some unseen power watching over every step we take? And if you slow the video way down, you'll notice the tree actually seems to stop just short of the guy before it finally hits the ground, like it miraculously never touched him. Sometimes salvation comes in ways our brains can't figure out, but our souls know it's real. From a freezing day in Warsaw, this moment leads us straight into the next story. A cell phone that suddenly spoke with a voice from nowhere. Another gentle reminder that God is still guiding and protecting his kids. 6. A girl heard a strange warning from the other end of the line while crossing the street. It was a gloomy winter day in London, kinda dark out, with a light fog hanging over the streets. This 19-year-old girl was deep in a FaceTime call, walking along the sidewalk, holding her phone tight with both hands, talking a mile a minute. Picture this. One more step, and she would have walked right out into traffic, totally in the blind spot of a double-decker bus coming at 40 miles an hour. She said later, "We were chatting and all of a sudden my friend screamed, 'Watch out!' I froze and slowed down for just 1 second. That 1 second, a second that seemed like nothing, saved her from a terrible accident." Here's the really strange part. When she turned around and asked, "What did you just see that made you yell like that?" her friend said, "I didn't yell anything. I'm home alone in my room." Sounds crazy, right? But the whole thing was caught on the phone's camera. A voice came out of nowhere, yet it warned her exactly when she needed it and stopped her at the perfect moment. The Bible talks about moments like that. "I have called you by name. You are mine." Isaiah 43:1. A reminder that God knows every little thing about us. "And your ears shall hear a word behind you." Isaiah 30:21. Like an invisible warning that keeps us from danger. Take a close look at the video, and you'll see her totally focused on the call, walking without a care, then suddenly stopping for no obvious reason. What looked like a random second turns out to be living proof that an unseen power is watching over us. No crash, no scream, just one quiet second, full of miracle. Don't we all have days when, if something hadn't stepped in, everything would have turned out completely different? A sudden pause, a shout with no source, 1 second of delay, all like invisible hands protecting us. From foggy London, we'll head next to a little woodshop in America, where a falling piece of lumber somehow got steered so nobody got hurt. You'll see, miracles don't always happen in big fancy places. Most of the time, they show up in the ordinary little moments of everyday life. Life is so fragile, isn't it? And in the most normal seconds of the day, God is still watching every step we take, still whispering those quiet warnings that, if we listen, can save our lives. 7. Flying wood shard hits a young man's face. At a small wood shop in Oregon, where the air's thick with the smell of fresh-cut pine and the table saws screaming at steady whine, a 9-year-old guy was totally locked in on his work, eyes glued to the board, both hands tight on the saw handle. Out of nowhere, a 2-foot chunk of wood shot off the blade like a bullet, rocketing straight at his face from less than 6 inches away. His heart just about stopped. Then, right at the last possible split second, that piece of wood suddenly veered off, barely grazed his temple, and clattered to the floor. You see it, don't you? One blink and a miracle stepped in. He told it like this: "I felt this big whoosh of air right in front of my face, like somebody blew hard on purpose." Picture it. The saw still howling, that shard whistling past his ear, and this crazy mix of terror and wonder hanging in the air. A collision that should have happened just didn't. The Bible talks about moments exactly like that. The wind blows wherever it pleases. That's how it is with the Spirit. John 3-8. You know, there's an invisible power that can save a life in the blink of an eye. And he makes the winds his messengers. Psalm 104:4. Like every gust, every little shift in the air is guided by something bigger. That moment left the young man, and anyone who heard the story, shaken to the core. We all live one heartbeat away from disaster sometimes. 1 second slower, 1 step later, one unseen warning, and everything changes. Miracles, plain and simple. You've just read about 7 times people believe an unseen hand from God reached in at the very last moment and pulled lives back from the edge. Which one hit you the hardest? Those moments we just saw, from the board that whipped past the guy in an Oregon lumber mill, to the girl in London who got a phone warning right on time, the power pole about to crash in Novosibirsk, the huge old tree coming down in Warsaw, the skier in the Alps, and the girl throwing an axe in Ontario. They all share one thing: an invisible power stepping in at the last second. Did you notice? In just half a second to 2 seconds, something that looked like pure bad luck or an accident got turned around in a way that's hard to explain, but absolutely perfect. Now let's look back at these stories together, think them through, and see what they really mean, so we can better understand how God works His power in moments that seem completely random. Every one of these things happened in half a second to 2 seconds, and the big thing they all have in common is an unseen force. A push, a pull, a block, a change of direction, or a voice warning somebody. Like Psalm 91, verse 11 says, "For He will command His angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways." Just think about it. Every push, every gust of wind, every voice that spoke up was one of those invisible angels keeping us safe in the nick of time. Think about the Bible stories. An angel blocked Balaam's path when he was riding along. That's in Numbers 22. Or an angel opened the prison doors for Peter. Acts 12. In both cases, an unseen power stepped in right when it had to and saved lives that looked like they were already done for. Same thing happens today. From the lumber mill to the city street, the same amazing way God works. Remember when the Lord called little Samuel 3 times? 1 Samuel 3. God's help doesn't always come with thunder and lightning. It's quiet, gentle, but it gets the job done perfectly. And the person who's saved knows something supernatural just happened. Go back and watch that Oregon clip again. That board didn't miss the man because of his quick reflexes. Someone was behind the scenes steering that unseen force. Jesus calmed the storm with just a word. That shows his power doesn't have to follow the usual rules of nature. He steps right into the middle of things. All these stories we just watched, the board, the tree, the power pole, the voice on the phone, they remind us of one simple truth. The Lord is always watching, always protecting, even when we can't see him with our own eyes. If you go through Psalm 91 line by line, you'll see a strange but perfect connection to every single one of these events. He will cover you with his feathers. You will not fear the terror of night, nor the arrow that flies by day. Every promise fits. The arrow of that falling power pole, the sudden disaster of the old tree, the flying board in the mill. Everything stopped just inches away. Do you see it? It's all a gentle reminder. God's power isn't only in the Bible. It's working in our everyday lives right now. These close call moments are living proof that God is keeping us safe, watching every step we take and protecting us in the quietest, surest way possible. So think about it. Has that same unseen hand ever kept you safe in a split second you didn't even realize at the time? Pay attention. Listen. Feel it. These miracles aren't far away. They're all around us. Just like Psalm 91 promised thousands of years ago. From what seemed like pure coincidences, a piece of wood suddenly changing direction in Oregon, a girl in London hearing a warning through her phone, all of it points to one big truth. God is still at work right in the middle of everyday life, stepping in even on the tiniest details. Have you noticed? Every little nudge, every unseen shout, every sudden gust of wind isn't random at all. It's living proof of his power. Now, let's pull together the one main message from all these stories. Behind every close call, there's an invisible hand, protecting and guiding us. When we see that, we can better hear God's personal invitation to each one of us. God is still moving today, not just in the big, dramatic stuff, but in the small things most folks never even notice. Go back and watch those videos again, and you'll see it plain as day. The flying board, the huge old tree falling, the power pole hanging in midair, all of them being steered by a force we can't see but can sure feel. He cares about every single detail, every life or death second, every step we take. We can't predict what's coming, but his power is always there, ready to shield anyone who trusts and leans on him. Look, not everybody gets spared from physical danger, but those who put their faith in him are saved from something far worse, eternal death. Do you see the amazing connection between what we just watched and the Bible? Isaiah 43:1 says, he calls you by your own name. And Isaiah 30:21 says, you'll hear a voice behind you saying which way to go, like he's whispering right into those split-second moments, warning us and guiding us just in time. Every board that turns, every pole that stops, every old oak that misses the guy standing nearby, it's all living proof. It's not just about physical miracles either. The message goes deeper. He wants us awake, aware of him in ordinary days, and trusting that unseen power. Stay awake and pray. Do you hear his voice in the quiet, normal moments? Do you feel that invisible hand steering you, guarding you, reminding you that life is precious and every second counts? Look back at everything we saw: the skier in the Alps, the girl warned in London, the power pole in Novosibirsk, the huge tree in Warsaw, the chunk of wood in Oregon, they're all gentle reminders that God's power never leaves us. It's there, in the little things, in every heartbeat close second. Pay close attention, and you'll spot a beautiful order where God's power works with perfect timing. This isn't just a warning, it's an invitation. Stay awake, pray, trust Him. In a world full of uncertainty and danger, His presence is the one thing that never moves, the unseen shield in every storm. You see, God is still calling, still acting, and every single one of us has the chance to listen and recognize that invisible power, keeping us safe and leading us on. So ask yourself, in those moments that seem like pure chance, are you listening for His voice? Do you notice that unseen hand pulling you out of harm's way and reminding you of the forever life He promises to everyone who believes? That's the one message all 7 of these stories are trying to tell us. God's power is always here, always stepping in, and always inviting every one of us to put our trust in Him. In the blink of an eye, life and death can be just a hand's width apart. Think about it. Just 1 second, one tiny delay, and everything can change forever. Flying pieces of wood, power poles crashing down, huge old trees toppling, or a bus that barely misses. All of it reminds us how fragile life really is. You see, that unseen power isn't just some miracle. It's a loud and clear warning, a reminder that God is still watching over every little detail of our lives. Today, you might be the next one He calls by name. Right this minute, in the middle of our busy, rushed lives, He's still watching, protecting, and guiding every step you take. Do you notice it? Every moment that seems like pure chance actually has His invisible hand stepping in, pulling you back from dangers you never saw coming. Listen, His voice is echoing everywhere, not just through physical miracles, but in your heart, in your gut feelings, in those sudden hunches you might brush off. Listen close. You can almost feel the breath of that power in every gust of wind, every silent scream, every close call you just lived through. Don't ignore the little signs, because that's exactly how He gets your attention. Wake up. Trust me. Put your life in my hands. Watch that video again, and you'll see His power didn't miss by an inch, and it never overlooks a single person. Believe. Faith isn't just believing something that happened long ago. It's trusting Him right now, in this living moment. The God we trust isn't only the God of the past. He's the God of right now, of every heartbeat, every breath, every second that feels ordinary, but is actually being carefully watched over by Him. Have you seen that wonder yet? Every event, everything that happens, is proof that His power is here, stepping in and keeping us safe. You know, this story isn't just to watch, it's to pass along. Tell your own story, or share a time you felt His unseen protection. Drop a prayer in the comments, so it joins with the power that's moving everywhere. Imagine if someone else reads it and feels His presence too. Faith would spread like wildfire. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so this message reaches more folks. Every share, every story someone tells, is another way that invisible power gets proven, so the people around us can notice that amazing protecting hand too. In a world full of uncertainty, every close call has meaning. What we just saw is living proof that God is still at work, that you're always being watched over, protected, and saved. So listen, believe, and share, because this message isn't just for one person. It's a reminder for all of us. Life is precious, that unseen power is real, and He's calling your name right now.
Ôi nọ đây đó.
2025 has kicked off like a wild storm, with the world drowning in crazy technology, wars heating up, and haunting news everywhere. Strange signs are hitting us out of nowhere, like shocks from some unseen place, making it impossible to look away from a reality that's shaking by the second. Have you noticed even nature seems angry, like it's whispering a huge secret? From the dark jungles of India to the noisy coasts of America, these weird things aren't just random. They're loud reminders that the Antichrist, the great deceiver, is rising, and God is warning mankind. Take a close look at those viral videos, and you'll see stuff that looks normal at first actually carries marks of something supernatural. These events aren't some science joke or random accidents. They're straight out of the Bible, coming true, just like Matthew 24:3 warned about the final signs. Every single one is a piece of the big picture: the rise of the Antichrist, nature's rage, and God's urgent call. Stick with me till the end of this video. Don't miss a single sign. This message didn't find you by chance. It came looking for you on purpose. You're one of the ones chosen to notice, to wake up before it's too late. Every moment, every image is testing your attention and your soul. So, are you ready to dive in with me and look closely at each strange event, each piece that's putting together the exact picture God warned about and prophesied thousands of years ago? Let's start with 1. Discovering a strange two-headed snake. Back in January 2025, in Bandipur National Park in Karnataka, India, a forest ranger named Rajesh Kumar was out on patrol when he suddenly spotted something really weird. It was a cobra about 6 feet long, but what stopped everyone in their tracks was that it had two heads, perfectly synced up, both attached to the same body. If you watch the video closely, you'll see each head seems to have its own mind. Sometimes they look in completely different directions, like two separate beings sharing one body. The footage spread like wildfire on social media and shocked people all over the world. Even modern science just has to stop and stare at something like this. Biologists from the Wildlife Institute of India explained it's a rare condition called polycephaly, having more than one head caused by a genetic mutation. It happens sometimes in reptiles, often because of pollution or inherited traits. Expert Priya Singh said the snake can survive thanks to a split nervous system, but almost never lives more than a few months. But it's not just a science thing. Doesn't this two-headed snake feel like a reminder of the Antichrist, the deceiver that wears many faces? Revelation 13:1 says, "I saw a beast coming out of the sea. It had 10 horns and 7 heads, standing for the many-sided power of the one who opposes Christ." And Revelation 12:9 tells us, "The great dragon was hurled down, that ancient serpent called the devil, or Satan." It's almost like a quiet warning that danger is rising among us. Watch the way each head moves. It really looks like they've got their own plans. It reminds us that deception doesn't always come with a big neon sign. Just imagine if this was a sign God sent straight to you. What would you do? While this two-headed snake has us thinking about hidden deception, something even wilder and more chaotic is happening out at sea, where thousands of sea creatures are gathering in huge numbers, like a warning of a great disaster coming soon. Keep watching, because every one of these signs is a piece of the end times picture we can't ignore. 2. Thousands of sardines swarming in one spot. Back in March 2025, down at Miami Beach, Florida, a tourist named Maria Lopez caught something on video that'll give you the chills. Hundreds of thousands of sardines packed together so tight they completely covered the boat dock area. They came right up to the surface, thrashing around like crazy, stretching almost 500 feet along the shore. Take a close look at that clip, and you'll see the whole beach turned into one big black wriggling mass. Tourism had to shut down for a bit, and it cost the local folks a good chunk of money. Now, you know this wasn't just normal fish behavior. Marine scientists from the University of Miami said it was unusual schooling caused by warmer ocean water or low oxygen. Dr. David Chen warned that plastic pollution and climate change can spook the fish and make them bunch up like that. But see, science only explains the surface stuff. Underneath, It feels like a sign of bigger trouble coming, something deep and hard to wrap your head around. When you watch that, doesn't it make you wonder what the ocean is trying to tell us? To me, it's almost like the Bible talking about another great flood coming. Remember Genesis 7:11. The fountains of the great deep burst forth, and the windows of the heavens were opened. And Matthew 24-38:3-9 says, For as in those days before the flood they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day when Noah entered the ark, and they were unaware until the flood came and swept them all away. You look at those fish piling up and it sure feels like nature's giving us a wake-up call about a coming disaster. Something plain as day if we just open our eyes. You can almost feel the frantic rhythm in the water. Every flip and jump like it's sending a message to anybody paying attention. This isn't just mindless migration. It feels like a direct warning from the Lord about the days ahead and the great enemy we need to watch for. And while the sea's acting up, have you noticed the sky isn't calm either? Strange clouds showing up, weird shapes, almost like another reminder straight from God that the enemy is hiding, waiting for his moment. Pay close attention. Every little sign fits into the bigger picture of the end times. Keep your eyes open, because every detail is telling us the same thing. The Antichrist is drawing near, and we don't have much time left to get ready. 3. A giant goat horn-shaped cloud hugging the sun. Back in June 2025, out in the Mojave Desert in California, it was a scorching late afternoon. Hit 110 degrees, and then something really strange happened. A local guy named John Ramirez happened to catch it on video, and honestly, it'll give anybody chills. This huge cloud got ripped in two by the wind, forming a perfect arch like two big goat horns curling around the sun, almost like it was grabbing that bright orange light. Right in the middle, two bright flashes popped up that looked just like eyes staring down at everything. Watch the video close. You can feel every second passing like the slow breath of something supernatural. It's beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Hundreds of folks saw it and got goosebumps. A bunch whipped out their phones to record it. You can see how the light bouncing off the hot sand made the whole thing even more dramatic. The experts at NOAA said it was just high cirrus clouds torn apart by strong wind, mixing with the sunset to create an optical illusion called sundogs, Dr. Elena Vargas added that climate change is making clouds form in weirder ways these days. But you know, science only explains the surface. Underneath, a lot of us feel this was a sign the Lord wanted the world to notice. It lines up with Scripture in a way that's hard to ignore. In Daniel 7-8 it says, While I was looking at the horns, suddenly another small horn appeared among them. It had eyes like human eyes and a mouth that was boasting arrogantly. Picture those horns up in the sky. It's like they're pointing straight to the many-sided power, the deception, and the authority of the one who opposes Christ. Then Revelation 13:11. Then I saw another beast rising out of the earth. It had two horns like a lamb, but spoke like a dragon. That's the false demonic power starting to show itself. You could almost feel a strange rhythm in that desert air, like every gust of wind and flash of light was whispering that something is watching, getting ready. Those devil horns in the sky weren't just weather. They felt like a direct message from God, telling us to wake up and stay alert. But the sky's only part of it. Look a little closer and you'll notice that deep underground, something even darker is stirring. Water shooting up. Shapes that look like serpents. Little signs most folks miss. Keep your eyes open, because every single detail, no matter how small, is another piece of the end times picture. It's a reminder that the Antichrist is drawing near, and we don't have much time left to get ready. 4. A column of water shooting hundreds of feet up from deep in the ground. Back in August 2025, in a quiet little village in Hunan Province, China, a farmer named Li Wei couldn't believe his eyes. Right behind his house, a huge jet of water shot up about 300 feet into the air, like a geyser you'd see in Yellowstone, shaking everything around it. Imagine this. Next to that towering water, there was a long, black rope-like thing, almost 50 feet long, twisting and turning like a giant snake coming up out of the pit. You could almost feel the urgency in the way it moved, like nature itself was trying to whisper a warning. The thing kept going for hours, flooding the whole area and scaring the daylights out of the villagers. Folks stood there with their phones out, filming every strange second of it. If you watch the video closely, the water looks like the breath of some living creature down in the earth, pulsing out in powerful waves. Experts from the Chinese Academy of Geological Sciences said it was an underground geyser caused by geothermal pressure or a fault line shifting. That black rope? Probably just algae or mud getting sucked up with the water. Dr. Wang Li pointed out that climate change is making geological activity worse these days. Still, science can explain the how, but it can't quite touch that cold chill you feel watching it. When I saw it, my mind went straight to the Bible. This feels like one of those signs warning about the Antichrist, a power rising out of the abyss. Isaiah 27 verse 1 says, "In that day, the Lord with his hard and great and strong sword will punish Leviathan the fleeing serpent." Doesn't that water shooting up and that long black thing twisting around look an awful lot like Leviathan coming to life? The very symbol of deceit and destruction heading our way? And Revelation 20 verse 2 says, "He seized the dragon, that ancient serpent, who is the devil and Satan, and bound him." It tells us that dark power is real. It's being watched and held back, but it can still put the fear of God into us. Every blast of water, every twist of that black shape, it's like the breath of something most folks can't see with regular eyes. The people in that village felt it, and if you watch the footage, you'll feel it too. Something uneasy crawling under your skin. Nature and the Lord seem to be saying the same thing at the same time. The Antichrist is drawing closer, and every moment we watch is a chance to wake up and pay attention. From this dark column of water, we'll move on to a patch of mud that came alive, where the ground itself almost seemed to breathe, reminding us that what we're seeing is just the tip of the iceberg. The signs of the last days are slipping in through every drop of water, every speck of dirt, and we'd better not look away. 5. The mud that's all slimy and moving like it's breathing. Back in September 2025, down in the Everglades swamp in Florida, a team of explorers got the chills when they came across this patch of thick, gooey mud bubbling up out of the ground, maybe 2 or 3 feet high. All around it, the mud had dried into these jagged little walls, like it was guarding whatever was underneath. Picture this. Bubbles keep coming up and popping, over and over, like something down there is breathing. Doesn't it just creep you out and grab all your senses? This went on day after day. The crew was scared half to death, but couldn't look away. The camera caught the bubbles bursting, the mud shaking, making the whole swamp feel like it was taking slow, evil breaths. A geologist from the USGS said, "It's a mud volcano caused by methane gas building up underground." And Dr. Mark Thompson pointed out that climate change is making swamps give off more of that gas. But even with the science, it still gave everybody the heebie-jeebies watching it. When you think about the Bible, that mud pit feels like the bottomless pit where the Antichrist could rise up. In Job 41-31, 3-2, it says, "He maketh the deep to boil like a pot. He maketh the sea like a pot of ointment." You read those words slow. Don't you feel the awful power in them? And in Revelation 9-1-2, I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose a smoke out of the pit. That slimy, bubbling mud looks an awful lot like the picture the Bible paints, like a warning that something terrible is stirring right under our feet. Every bubble that pops, every time the mud shudders, it's like the pit itself is breathing. You almost feel like you're standing on the edge of some dark power, and one little nudge could make it all blow wide open. The team backed way up, but the camera kept rolling. You can watch the video yourself and feel that mix of curiosity and plain old fear crawling all over you. Then, out of that ground that's breathing like the devil himself, the sky opened up with this strange green light spreading across it, showing a whole different world the Lord has ready, like he's reminding us that even in the middle of all this mess, there's still light. There's still a way out. Watch the video close and you'll see it. Every layer of mud, every bursting bubble, every bit of that green glow feels like it's telling the same story about the powers of darkness and God's protection. Pay attention, folks. What we can see with our own eyes is just the surface. Under the mud, under the ground, under every one of those bubbles, the signs of the last days are creeping closer. And the Lord is calling us to notice, to get ready, and to stay on guard against the Antichrist. 6. Strange blue light and a towering building. Back in October 2025, up in the Swiss Alps, a local lady named Anna Fisher couldn't believe her eyes when she filmed this weird blue light punching right through thick gray clouds. Through that beam, a huge, hazy skyscraper appeared out of nowhere, like it belonged to another world, and it only stuck around for about 15 minutes. You see it too, right? That rare moment felt both mysterious and downright magical, like you're standing on the edge between two realities. The blue light didn't just light up the sky. It felt like it opened a door straight to heaven. The building floated there in the mist, stretching all the way to the horizon. Folks who saw it just froze, and the camera caught every little detail, every shimmer bouncing off the clouds. Watch the video close. You can almost feel everything pulsing like a heartbeat, making your own heart race with excitement and wonder. Scientists over at CERN say it was an optical illusion called a fata morgana, caused by air refraction and high clouds. Dr. Luca Rossi pointed out that extreme weather is making these things happen more often. But even science can't quite explain that eerie feeling when a giant building suddenly shows up in the gray sky, almost like it's beckoning you towards something beyond normal sight. It reminds me of the Bible and the heaven God has ready for His chosen ones. In John 14:2, Jesus says, "In my Father's house are many rooms. If it were not so, I would have told you. I am going there to prepare a place for you." Don't you see it? That building in the blue light feels like a real-life picture of that promise. And in Revelation 21, verses 1 and 2, John says, "I saw a new heaven and a new earth, and the holy city, the new Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God." This scene looks an awful lot like that holy city descending, giving us hope right in the middle of a chaotic world. So that strange blue light wasn't just some weather trick. It felt like a gentle reminder, a sign from the Lord inviting us to wake up and get ready. Every ray cutting through the clouds, every faint outline of that building, seemed to tell the story of the chosen ones and the world waiting for them. Then, from that heavenly glimpse, we come back down to earth, to the wild, churning ocean, where schools of fish leap in panic, mud pools bubble like they're breathing, and dark water spouts dance around. It all paints a picture of how lost and desperate mankind looks when great trouble comes. Watch the video again, and you'll spot the thread tying earth to heaven, chaos to hope. Like the Lord is telling a story that only folks willing to look close will ever understand. 7. A huge school of fish jumping wildly onto the shore. Back in November 2025, down at Bondi Beach in Sydney, Australia, folks couldn't believe their eyes. Thousands of fish suddenly came together and started jumping like crazy onto a stretch of beach almost 1,000 feet long. At first, everybody thought it was some kind of free gift from heaven. People were cheering and laughing, but that happy feeling turned to worry real quick because nobody could figure out why the fish were acting so strange. Take a close look at the video. You'll see fish after fish leaping out of the water like something invisible was pulling them, making this wild, chaotic show. These jumping fish aren't just some regular ocean thing. It felt more like the heartbeat of the sea trying to tell us something was wrong. Everything seemed to be dancing with the waves and the wind, beautiful, but spooky at the same time. It left you feeling like the ocean was sending a message from way down deep. Don't you think this is more than just fish? It's nature waving a big red flag about changes coming our way. Marine biologists from the University of Sydney said it's called a beaching event, probably caused by toxins in the water or loud sonar from submarines that mess up the fish and make them lose their way. Dr. Sarah Lee pointed out that pollution and changing oceans are making this happen more often. Still, science can't quite hide how shocking it is to watch thousands of creatures throw themselves onto the sand, like they're trying to warn us something big is on the way. It brings to mind the Bible. This crazy school of fish feels a lot like the chaos among people right before the Great Flood. In Genesis 6:11-1-3, it says, "The earth was full of violence, and God decided to wipe mankind from the face of the earth." Don't you see the same kind of disorder in these fish jumping everywhere? The same kind God saw back then? And in Luke 17:26-7, Jesus says, "When the Son of Man returns, it'll be just like the days of Noah, people eating, drinking, marrying, carrying on until the very day Noah went into the ark." This beach scene feels like a reminder that we might be living in testing times again, just like before the flood came. So these fish jumping out aren't only a natural event, they're a living warning about the kind of chaos and spiritual preparation the Bible talks about. Every fish that hits the sand, every wave that rolls in, feels like it's telling us to pay attention, think hard, and notice the connection between what's happening in nature and what God might be saying. With this latest sign, the whole picture comes into clear view, from the mare's tail clouds, the black waterspouts, the breathing mud pools, the strange green lights in the sky, all the way to this wild school of fish. Everything is linked together in one long message. Watch the video closely. Nature isn't doing this by accident. It's calling us to see the deeper meaning in these signs and get our hearts ready for whatever's coming next. When you look back at this string of 7 strange things that happened, from the Mojave Desert all the way to Bondi Beach, you start to notice a mysterious rhythm running through them, from the land to the sea, from the sky to the light. It's like they're telling a story that's hard to see with regular eyes. Take a good look at each video, and you'll feel this weird connection between the events and some of the pictures the Bible paints. That 2-headed snake showing up in China, slithering around in the sand, it's not just some freak of nature. In Revelation 13:1-2, it says, "I saw a beast coming out of the sea. It had 10 horns and 7 heads, and on each head was a blasphemous name." That 2-headed snake feels like a living picture of the many-headed beast, a sign that the Antichrist is on the rise. Did you notice how every twist it made in the sand looked like it was drawing the scary kind of power the Bible warns us about? All those fish gathering and jumping like crazy onto Bondi Beach, it's a picture of how mixed up and panicked people get right before the big trouble comes. Genesis 6:11-1-3 says, "The earth was full of violence. I'm going to put an end to all people." And Luke 17:26-7 reminds us, just like it was in Noah's day, so it will be when the Son of Man comes. Those fish jumping all over the place aren't just some ecology thing. They're showing the panic the world feels before a worldwide disaster. Watch close. Every fish leaping up in that wild rhythm is carrying a wake-up call. That huge goat horn-shaped cloud hugging the sun over the Mojave, it's a strong picture of pride and power. Daniel 7-8 says, "While I was looking at the horns, suddenly another small horn appeared among them. It had eyes like a human being and a mouth that spoke boastfully." It's reminding us the Antichrist will show up full of power and arrogance. Did you see how that goat horn eye seemed to stare right into people's hearts, warning that a real test is coming? The tall water spout with that black rope twisting inside it at Hunan Lake in China, that's a picture of Leviathan, the mighty creature from the deep. Isaiah 27:1 says, "On that day the Lord will punish Leviathan the fleeing serpent with his great and strong sword." That water column mixed with the dark twisting rope shows scary power rising up from the earth, and a warning about strength nobody can control. The bubbling, breathing mud pit in the Everglades, like the deep is boiling away, brings to mind Job 41-31, 3-2. It makes the depths churn like a boiling pot. It leaves a glistening wake behind. And Revelation 9:1-2. "I saw a star that had fallen to earth. When he opened the abyss, smoke rose from it." See that mud boiling and the bubbles popping? It's exactly like the sneaky breath of the Antichrist coming up from the pit. That strange blue light in the Swiss Alps showing a faint building in the sky. It's a picture of the heavenly home God's getting ready for his people. John 14:2 says, "My Father's house has many rooms. I am going there to prepare a place for you." And Revelation 21:1-2, "I saw a new heaven and a new earth, and the holy city, the new Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God." That blue light feels like God's promise of rescue and hope, right in the middle of end-time scenes. Do you see it's not just some trick of the light? It's a sign of God's protection for those who believe. Put them all together, from the snake and mud on the land, to the fish in the sea, up to the goat horn cloud and the blue light in the sky, and you get this clear chain pointing to trouble across the whole world. Each sign is one piece of a big picture showing the Antichrist rising, and at the same time sounding the Lord's warning. Watch the videos carefully, and you'll see nature isn't doing this by accident. Every single thing is a reminder to wake up, get ready, and hold tight to faith before the hard days come. These things happening from January through November 2025 aren't just random natural events. They're hidden messages from God, saying loud and clear, the Antichrist is rising. The world is falling into chaos, and God's light is still shining, guiding anyone who's paying attention and understands what it really means. You see it, don't you? From the snake to the fish, the cloud, the mud, to that blue light, everything ties together into one big, living wake-up call, pushing us to get our hearts ready, turn back to God, and trust in His protection. Once again, when we step back and look at the whole picture, we can see one huge message that God has been trying to send mankind from thousands of years ago right up to this very day. 7 signs showing up in 2025, different as they look on the outside, all point to the exact same thing. Humanity is walking into the most important moment since history started getting written down. It's a time when the line between the seen world and the unseen world is getting so thin that anybody can feel it if they'll just stop for a minute and pay attention. These things that are happening aren't random, separate events, and they're not just weird science stuff to pick apart. They're a chain of wake-up calls, one after another, like bells ringing from a door that's slowly closing. Put them all together, and you get a clear picture. The world has wandered way too far from the order God set up in the beginning. And nature, something we thought had no feelings, is now sounding God's final warning bell for him. From the sky down to the ground, and even inside people's hearts and minds, every layer of reality is shaking to the same beat, reminding us that the darkness is growing and the Antichrist isn't some far-off prophecy anymore. He's already slipping into everyday life through wars, chaos, and values turned upside down. But the scariest part isn't even the signs on the outside. It's how hardened millions of hearts have become. People see, they hear, but they don't feel anything anymore. That's why the real message behind these 7 signs isn't just to scare us. It's to wake up the spiritual part inside each person that's fallen asleep. They're not only warning that the great cleansing is getting close, they're inviting us to find again the holy order we've forgotten in all the madness of this digital age. When these things keep happening one after another like some unseen hand is moving them, it proves the world isn't running on chance anymore. It's moving straight down a path the Bible already told us about, a road that doesn't end with the world blowing up like people think, but with everything fake being exposed, light separated from darkness, and a clear line drawn between those who belong to God and those left standing outside the door. So the most important thing isn't to be afraid of the signs, it's to hear the call underneath them. Turn back, fix your life, get your heart ready. Because the great cleansing isn't coming to destroy everything, but to clean things up and put back the order mankind broke. No matter how strange the sky looks, no matter how angry nature gets, no matter how much the world shakes, everything is pushing us toward the same lesson. God is still in control of it all. He hasn't abandoned us in the dark. He's just pushing us out of our comfort zones so we're forced to face the truth. In these troubled days, Hope hasn't disappeared. It's just changed shape into a small but steady light that will guide anyone willing to open their heart. These 7 signs aren't here to drag us down. They're here to lift us up, to remind us there's not much time left, but there's still enough for anyone who wants to come home. And if we have the courage to look straight at that message, a new era of being truly awake will begin. Not with fear, but with faith, coming back, humility, and hope in the only one who can save a world that's teetering on the edge. The year 2025 has brought a string of strange signs that anybody can see with their own eyes, but only the Spirit truly feels deep down. Through each one of them, it feels like the Lord is gently yet firmly knocking on every person's heart, calling us to wake up before the Antichrist rises. Haven't you noticed? Those 2-headed snakes, schools of fish going crazy, that eerie green light in the sky, or the slimy mud pools. They're not just weird weather or nature acting up. They're holy reminders, like a quiet warning. Time is running short, and every minute we waste is a chance we lose to come back to Him. Take another look at those pictures. Really feel what nature is trying to tell us, and you'll see that God is still patiently waiting for every soul that's willing to turn around. In the middle of all this chaos and mystery, we're being invited to listen to the call of faith. This isn't the time to be afraid. It's the time to pray, to open our hearts, and to hand over to Him all the unfinished, broken parts of our lives. Just like Matthew 24:42 says, "So stay awake, because you don't know the day your Lord is coming." Let the light of being awake shine inside you, so every choice you make carries real faith, and so none of our steps get lost in the lies and temptations the Antichrist is spreading. Do you see it? The common message behind all 7 signs isn't just a warning, it's hope. Even when the world feels like it's falling apart, God has already prepared a safe place full of light and peace for anyone who stays faithful. Like 2 Timothy 3, verses 1 through 5 tells us, "The last days will be hard, but knowing Him and choosing to follow Him is the only way through." So don't wait. Don't let the mess out there dim the light inside you. Say a prayer today. Tell us in the comments which sign hit you the hardest, moved you the most, and let's wake each other up together. Let these 7 signs be a daily reminder. Every single day is another chance to turn back to God, to love, to forgive, and to walk steady in faith. 2025 isn't the end. It's a golden opportunity to choose light over darkness, to choose eternal life over the things that don't last. Every step we take toward Him, every honest prayer we pray, is one more rung on the ladder to real peace in our hearts. Go back and watch the video again. Pay attention to every detail. Let your soul feel it, and you'll know the truth God is sending through each sign. If this video meant something to you, please hit like, share it, and subscribe so more folks can wake up and see there's still hope, even in the chaos. Let's pray together that humanity doesn't lose its way, that the light of faith keeps shining through the darkness, and that 2025 becomes the year a whole lot of hearts finally come home to the Lord before it's too late.
It's like the earth is splitting open. Wave.
In these chaotic times we're living in, when the whole world feels like it's teetering on the edge of something huge and unpredictable, have you noticed all the strange things popping up around us? All over the planet, stuff is happening that science can't explain yet. Almost like a message straight from the spiritual realm is landing right in front of our eyes. These things aren't just random. They're pointing to the coming of the Antichrist. And at the same time, they're showing that the gates of heaven are starting to open, getting ready for a great cleansing the world has never seen before. Are you ready to face the truth? In this video, we're going to look at 7 really clear signs, one by one, from those big black rings hanging in the sky to lakes suddenly catching fire, deep cracks ripping open in the middle of deserts, and weird columns of water shooting up out of the ocean. We'll go through each one so you can see the whole picture of the last days coming together. Get your heart and mind ready. Stick with me. Don't miss a thing. And keep your eyes open. What we're about to see together might change how you look at everything. Because right in the middle of darkness and light, danger and hope, God is sending a message to every one of us. All right, I won't keep you waiting any longer. Let's dive right in and look at each of these strange signs the Lord is using to warn mankind. 1. A strange black ring floating in the sky. One quiet afternoon in Los Angeles, California, back in 2016, the clear blue sky suddenly had a huge black ring hanging in it, about 100 feet across, just floating there among the white clouds. It spun real slow, like a dark cloud that had gone bad, and thousands of folks down below freaked out, staring up and filming it with their phones. Can you picture that? Weather folks from the University of California said it was probably just a big smoke ring, maybe from a transformer that blew up, or from fireworks, where the smoke gets squeezed and spins into a perfect circle that holds together for a while. A NASA guy compared it to smoke rings from volcanoes or factory accidents. When the air's real still, those rings can hang around longer than you'd think. Hard to believe, but science only explains so much. Then there's the Bible side of it. That black ring brings to mind fallen angels and the Antichrist, like a holy halo that's turned pitch black, a sign of power gone wrong, betrayal, and darkness spreading. A lot of us see it not just as weather, but as a straight-up warning from above that you really don't want to ignore. In pictures and symbols, a black ring looks like an angel's halo that's been twisted into something evil, the mark of the Antichrist, the great deceiver. Like 1 John 2:18 says, "Little children, it is the last hour. Many antichrists have already come." And Revelation 12:9 tells us the great dragon deceives the whole world. That ring felt like a heads up. The darkness is growing, and this is only the beginning. And if you think that's all, hang on. Next, we're heading over to Asia, where something even darker seems to be rising right up out of the ground, ready to touch the world we live in. 2. The lake that turned pitch black, and the strange fire that wouldn't go out on the water. Down at Lake Diangxi, just outside Kunming in Yunnan province, China, a patch of water about 1,000 feet across suddenly turned thick black, like road tar. Then flames shot up out of nowhere. The water started boiling like crazy, almost as if some giant creature was waking up deep under the ground. A horrible, rotten smell spread everywhere, and folks who lived nearby had to get out fast. What do you think that was? Scientists from the Chinese Academy of Sciences said it's called a black bloom. It happens when the lake gets way too polluted. Algae die off. There's no oxygen left. And the rotting stuff releases methane and hydrogen sulfide gases that can catch fire and even explode. Experts from Peking University added that all the factory pollution pouring in from around the lake pumps in so much organic junk that these events turn extra dangerous and come out of the blue. But there's a deeper meaning too. In the Bible, a lake turning black and burning sounds exactly like demons rising up from the earth, a picture of the destructive power the Antichrist will use to fool the whole world. Fire and darkness spreading like hell itself is breaking through the ground, just like the beast rising out of the sea we're warned about. In 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verses 3 and 4, it says plain as day, "Don't let anyone deceive you in any way, for that day will not come until the rebellion happens, and the man of lawlessness is revealed, the one doomed to destruction. He will set himself up against everything that is called God or worshipped." This burning black lake feels like a living picture of that warning. Rebellion and chaos are spreading, and we're only at the beginning. Next, we'll turn our eyes from Asia over to the Middle East, where a huge crack in the earth looks like it's opening a door straight down to hell itself, showing things so frightening you won't be able to look away. 3. A strange giant crack in the bone-dry desert. Out in a scorching desert in the Middle East, the ground suddenly split wide open and formed a huge crack that stretched for hundreds of yards. Dust and smoke poured out of it, along with deep, scary rumbling noises that sounded like some giant creature growling way down below. Folks who lived nearby ran for their lives. Nobody wanted to get close. You can almost feel the fear coming off that thing, can't you? Geologists say it's just pressure in the rock layers and a little earthquake activity, but a lot of experts warn that gas and minerals down there can catch fire and blow up easy, turning the crack into a surprise volcano right in the middle of the sand. The hot, dry air makes everything worse and harder to control, so it really looks like nature is flat out mad. But if you look at it through the Bible, this crack feels like the gates of hell swinging open. It brings to mind the pictures of where the Antichrist and all the dark forces are going to rise up out of the earth to spread chaos and terror. That deep, broken gap with smoke rolling out looks exactly like darkness spilling into the world, giving us a warning about what's coming. In Revelation 9:1-2, an angel opens the pit of hell, and terrible sounds and monsters come pouring out. This crack in the Middle East looks an awful lot like that warning come to life. Chaos and hell itself breaking loose right in front of us. If you're paying attention to these kinds of supernatural signs, this one's impossible to ignore. 4. A giant wall of clouds flowing like a waterfall. On a highway near the Swiss Alps, a driver caught something strange on video. A huge cloud formation that looked like a solid wall, thousands of feet tall, pure white, and pouring down the blue sky like a waterfall. The whole scene felt magical, almost like heaven on earth. The line between sky and ground just disappeared. Scientists from ETH Zurich explained it's called a lenticular cloud, or lee waves. It happens when steady wind blows over mountains and creates stable waves in the air. A NOAA expert added that with high humidity and calm winds, the clouds stack up perfectly into this amazing wall. Beautiful and a little mysterious, but there's a deeper meaning too. In the Bible, a wall of clouds like this reminds people of the gates of heaven opening wide, getting ready for the great day when the Lord comes for his righteous ones. It's not just weather. It feels like a sign of something holy right here among us. Psalm 24:9 says, "Lift up your heads, O gates, and lift them up, O ancient doors, that the King of glory may come in." Revelation 4:1 tells us, "After this I looked, and behold, a door standing open in heaven." This cloud wall looks just like that, a mighty, glorious door cracked open in the sky. From way up there in the heavens, we come back down to earth with some downright eerie sunsets over big cities, where light and darkness mix together and show supernatural things that'll keep you staring. 5. A sky-stained blood red. In New York City, the sunset turned the color of blood. The sun was a deep, fiery red, and the whole sky stayed that dark crimson for hours. It felt eerie standing there among the tall buildings and rushing crowds, like something terrible was on its way. Scientists from Columbia University said it's caused by something called Rayleigh scattering. Basically, pollution, dust, and smoke in the air make the red light stand out more than the others. An EPA expert added that smoke from wildfires or city smog can make that red even brighter. Beautiful, but kind of scary at the same time. Still, there's something about it that goes beyond science. The Bible talks about a blood-red sky as one of God's warnings about the coming of the Antichrist, especially in big, busy cities where folks are caught up chasing money and drifting away from faith. This sunset felt like a quiet reminder. Darkness is always waiting up ahead, not just in people's hearts, but right up there in the heavens too. Joel 2:31 says, "The sun shall be turned to darkness and the moon to blood before the great and awesome day of the Lord comes." Acts 2:20 says the same thing. "The sun will be turned to darkness and the moon to blood before the coming of the great and glorious day of the Lord." That deep red sunset over New York felt like a living wake-up call, telling us the day of judgment might be closer than we think. And as our eyes move from that blood-red sky over the city to the wide-open ocean, even stranger things are starting to show up. Things that bring back memories of the great flood from long ago.